I know the videos this decade have really been all over the place, but I really want to talk about this game. In 2022, Kirby and Smash Bros. Director Masahiro Sakurai launched his very own YouTube channel. They were really well made, in-depth looks at the creative process and his career as a whole. They ran for about 2 years until the very last one came out, and it was revealed that he had front-loaded all of them in about 6 months because it was the only free time he had before he had to go back and work on his next mystery game. Then, in April of this year, we finally learned what that was. Kirby Air Riders, a sequel to Sakurai's last direct Kirby game, Kirby Air Ride, a racing game that reached its cult status on the GameCube when I still look like this. And then last week he put out an official first look at the game before it was scheduled to be demoed at this week's Gamescom. I was not there. However, I really liked his presentation. Sakurai has a much more approachable attitude about showing off the work that he and his team put into games. I think it looks fast and kinetic, and there's a lot of depth. Everything has a real meticulous place and purpose on the map. I really think it's going to take up a lot of time for me. I think it's a good achievement because it's a really small and compact game, all things considered. But the only part of this presentation I really want to talk about in this video is here, this screen. Anyone who clicked on this video has already pieced together that this looks exactly like the other half of a roster we have not seen yet, which is good because I love trying to piece together roster inclusions in games. I think it's really fun. We already have 12 characters, which would have been enough for me since I think these are a perfect 12 you could have picked, but there's a 16 player count on City Trials and I think that would get really repetitive. It's like Mario Kart 64 having 12 player races and you're stuck with these guys. And Kamek. So of the current roster, we have 3 groups of characters, main series staples that we already have filled with these 4, notable one-game inclusions that are memorable but usually don't appear more than once or twice, besides Gooey. Then just your standard enemy characters from the mainline games. I know this gets a lot of hate because of how the recent Mario Kart dumped like 60 of them into a roster that could have used cleaning up, but I think they're really fun and recognizable little guys that would never have been playable elsewhere, like Starman. Of these 12, I think my favorites are Knuckle Joe, Waddle Doo, and Starman, obviously, number 1. So I want to keep these same trends intact for my picks, just a healthy mix of all 3 of these. Plus, one more category I'll push later. But since this top one's already filled up with these 4, so there's no other place to start than the notable side characters. If you're keeping count at home, each of the 2010s trilogy has 1 character per game representative, except for Triple Deluxe. So Taranza is as safe as a bet as you can make. You'd think it'd be smart to represent someone from Star Allies, but I'm not really sure who they want to add unless you want to get all 3 of the game's villains on 1 vehicle. Actually, that's fine, but if I need to cut anyone, they're the first to go. It's just a little clunky. I do actually like this game. Now, let's loop back to some of the older games before we touch Forgotten Lands. Marks and Adeline are more safe picks. The Rat, the Roach, put him in there. I do want to include some of the spin-off characters that didn't make it into Star Allies. I have no idea if they're not seen as worthwhile to candidates by HAL, or did they just run out of time, but this is Namco making it, so we can pretend that they don't care. So I want to put in Prince Fluff and Aline. She looks like a paintbrush. I think that's smart. It's a smart design. Now we should tackle some of the ancillary enemies, characters that are just already in the game as other assets, or just characters that I think really fit the Kirby appeal. Scarfy is already here. Bronto Burt looks fun. Put him in. The Poppy Bros Jr. looks cool. I like that. And Mr. Frosty. Now that's everyone from the series pre-2022. Let's do Forgotten Lands, which actually has the most characters on my little list. Go figure. These dogs make sense. They got models somewhere, I bet. Alphalin is obvious, just got playing the new DLC, so put them in. And here's my final Kirby character. I think this one is actually more likely than anyone else here. Mouthful Kirby is one of those picks that I really feel like Nintendo or HAL are just going to keep pushing for. They love bringing it up in directs, there's a ton of merchandise. Each skin could be a ridiculous to code different transformation that they have. I can see this as the one industry plant that Sakurai can't escape from his games. Now, for my made-up 4th category, I think this has a chance. Sakurai previously worked on 2, sort of 3, 4 games before this one. Super Smash Bros. Ultimates, which carried on from the Wii U and 3DS game, and Kid Icarus Uprising. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that something from those games can carry into this one. It can be something small as like a sandbag hat and a little customization option they had, or Viridi as an announcer pack for City Trials. But I'm going to stake my flag and say that we're getting Pit and Dark Pit, either as skins of each other or separate characters at the bottom. I think they fit in nice, plus it fixed the height disparity since everyone's like 3 centimeters tall, gives good varieties. Or Mitos. Or the Bug. But then for Super Smash Bros., he's working with a presumably similar team that he worked with from Namco, who on their own have a large catalog of iconic characters spanning back decades. So I think we might get a guest character for DLC. Those usually sell well, but assuming they want to soft launch it with someone in the base roster, we might get the chance to see these 2 actually interact for the first time in years. Oh wait, he's in the Sonic game. Kazuya? They interacted? I'd like that. He'd be my pick. Oh, duh, the bear.